Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Resident Evil, the final chapter, starring Mila Jovovich, Ali Larter, and Ruby Rose, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. Now, before I get into this review, I must say I did see this on IMAX, and was it a headache? Let's see how the movie goes, but to be fair, it was. Alice Returned by Mila Jovovich narrates the origin of how the zombies came to life by the first killing a little girl named Alicia, who gave another kid the zombie virus, and how the apocalypse began thanks to the Umbrella Corporation led by Dr. Isaacs creating the Red Queen, as we get Alice's end of the story, which was narrated poorly by Mila Jovovich. We start the plot after the explosion of Washington, D.C., where Alice was the only survivor and gets attacked by a zombie with tentacle mouth, like a Blade 2. And this movie is loud, as this movie was designed for IMAX, as it did play in IMAX, and that's how I saw it the first time. But the other than the sound, sounds like a cheap way to make money off the series. A flying creature attacks Alice as she tries to drive away, and she drives it towards the flying creature and kills it off, which is ridiculous to the point it was so stupid. Alice hears a noise and goes in a dark place, and if I were her, get the fuck out of there, because not only will there be zombies, but hurt people hunting for weapons like in that third film, so that bothered me quite a bit. The Red Queen wants Alice to stop herself from taking over the world, which is a stupid idea for a villain in a video game movie, I'll say, as she tells Alice where Wesker is at, as he betrayed Alice at the end of the last movie, and she has 48 hours to kill him, and she drives away to a trap where she thinks she can get a motorcycle and get herself hung upside down as she escapes, which is a scene I get the impression Mila Jovovich's stunt double was injured while filming that scene, as she gets on the motorcycle and she gets shocked and knocked out and wakes up on a truck, and that was ran by Dr. Isaacs. As I'm 21 minutes into the movie, it keeps going with the violence like in this video game. As Alice gets casted out, she's almost killed by running with the truck against the zombies, and a guy who looks away, Alice catches up with the truck and gets on board with and kills Dr. Isaacs' henchman, and has a fight with Dr. Isaacs himself, which was kind of all over the place as she escapes the motorcycle, and this script is all over the place. It's so hard to follow at this point. Alice returns to Raccoon City, or what's left of it, and gets in another trap and meets up with Claire Redfield, returned by Ali Larter, with a new gang with Doc, Razor, and Christian. And when they get to a safe location, Ali meets construction worker Abigail, played by Ruby Rose. And are these characters good? What do you think? No! Alice gets the team prepared to kill every single last zombie there is with firepower, and when they get to war, they fight, and this action is exhausting and headache-worthy, as all these movies have been, in my opinion. Dr. Isaacs gets his armies of zombies on their side of land, and Alice kills them off and puts Dr. Isaacs' tank on fire and fights with an Asian man who's quick but not too smart, which is what Alice says as she shoots him and rides with the truck and gets killed by the zombies. And other survivors join the group to get to the hive, where there's an antivirus cure. And am I believing that? Maybe. While they're attacked by some kind of monster that can't swim, so they can go in the water, and they go in some kind of sewer, and they're scared of what's down there, which is a tunnel to the Umbrella Corporation, and they go in to talk to the Red Queen as she exposes Umbrella that they were the killers of the world. And I can't make sense of this bullshit, as it hurts my head to even think about it. They go find the cure to the virus, and they go through trap after trap, and now I'm checked out of this movie, as I want this thing to be all over at this point. But I have to go through this hole with 45 more minutes to go, and this is way too long for Resident Evil movie film by 6 minutes. If it were 100 minutes long or less, it would be less painful. But this is more painful than I remember, and wonder I never came back to this movie after all these years. Para goes back on and traps and becoming more deadly, but not to my knowledge, nor is it clever, and the CGI monsters look horrible in my opinion. After a fight with the monster, Alice is getting closer to Wesker and he calls for an emergency backup while Claire is trapped in a box. And Alice goes in a room with lasers and gets in another room with a storage. And Wesker wakes up the real Dr. Isaacs. And the one in the tank and the clone is a clone. I'm so confused at this point that I can't even follow this anymore. And I want to turn it off like I did with the Screamers, but this time I can't. Alice gets to the real Dr. Isaacs and is betrayed by Christian as Alice thinks of a way to kill Dr. Isaacs, which is a Sherlock Holmes thing to do. And as it turns out, he has the same thing and is much faster than Alice, which is frustrating until Alicia tells Alice to kill Dr. Isaacs, but he says she is a clone, while Alicia fires Wesker and Claire kills Christian, which is annoying the shit out of me. Wesker is dying while Dr. Isaacs runs out and fights off against Alice and Claire. And that fight was stupid as it leads to the lasers and they fist fight while Alice losing some fingers and pulls a grenade to explode and kill Dr. Isaacs. And after Alice goes to the top of the floor in the elevator to save the world with the virus as both Dr. Isaacs dies and Alice saves the world and faints and wakes up to a whole new world while Alice and Claire being alive as the Red Queen tells Alice and she was Alicia and shows off her childhood, which was convenient and a bad choice in my opinion as the climax is very headache worthy. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 1.1 out of 10. This movie is one of the worst, but I'm not sure how the new movie will do, but this is so far the worst, with terrible writing and things that don't make sense as these characters are again not relatable. I was hoping this would be the end of it if it weren't for the new film coming out, but I'm stuck with a loud movie that should have never been released in the IMAX format as this movie is a waste of money and time. The movie was confusing, stupid, and very annoying to watch at times. And I wanted this to be the best one, but so far, this is the worst one I've seen in the series. But we'll see how next time goes. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next time I will be back with Resident Evil. Welcome to Raccoon City. And until then, game over.